Hello and welcome to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. We're on Balvary Mountains. We got a game between Dharma and Zlo, two of the better Russian players. Dharma, to some of you who have played a long time ago, may be better known as Svetovoy Dim. Pretty sure that's him. Was a top 10 player on GPG. Zlo, I believe, was also up there. So I'm sure these two players seen each other many times, but perhaps not on this map. This map is one of the newer maps. Cybern versus Aeon should be a good matchup. Zlo, with his customary Cybern, is going to have some problems facing Aeon, at least in land. At Tech 1, definitely an advantage on small maps. Well, let's see how he counters it. This map has two choke points, has a big mountain in the middle. This might actually also block some cruise missiles, I'm not really sure. There is water and rock, so early reclaim on both sides. Small rocks, big rocks you don't want to neglect. Very close hydro. Looks like second air from Zlo. Hydro with the engineers. Looks like Zlo is going to use ZCU to get to the hydro. You can see where he walked from. So slightly different build orders. It looks like second air from both. Dharma looks like he will walk back to help out. So here, given so much reclaim, you can neglect some of these mask trackers. That's exactly what Zlo is doing. He's going to get more power faster, but he will neglect some mass. Definitely something that can be done. And also on this map, looks like some tree reclaiming there from Yama. There is an expansion of 3 mask extractors, which is nearly as much as what you have in your main base, which is 4 and 3. You really got to get these. That's almost half your eco. And a mask extractor in the middle. And given the low amount of mask extractors on this map, this mask extractor in the middle is actually quite worthwhile. If you remember, on Theta, it's 12 mask extractors per player, and if one player gets one mask extractor advantage for a while, they usually win. Unless micro mistakes here, it's even worse. This is 1/8 of your mass income. So Zlo, a little quicker on the air. He's going to come out with interceptors. The air factory for Dharma is actually going to be 3rd. Dharma switching it up, but not aggressive air, just interceptors so far from Zlo. So far Zlo is also slower at expanding. So in terms of his build order, getting mask extractors a little later and not expanding as fast, he's definitely going to be at disadvantage in total mass. And that shouldn't be an issue for a while, given that he's got so much in storage. And you can get less mass, but if you utilize your mass quicker, can turn it into an advantage. But you can see that even though Yama's got more mass, he's used it all up. I think it's because he's neglecting this reclaim here, which is very strange. You might not be familiar with this map, which is very surprising, but he is really mass stalling. This is a big disadvantage, and you can already see in terms of economy, Zlo with power really running away. At second air, 2 air factories, and think about third. So Zlo here, something very unusual, especially on a small map. Looks like a major air production with gestures. It's a very good idea against Aeon, which are really good against land at Tech 1, but these Auroras are going to be paper versus gestures. This will take a lot of micro from Zlo to avoid any flak. And here comes a bomber. Yama a little more aggressive, and here at almost 4 minutes, absolutely no shots being fired. Yama just goes ahead, grabs his expansion. He is on an assault. He will deny these 3 mask extractors unless the gestures now from Zlo coming in. They will have no problems getting these kills. Question is, will they save this engineer? Yeah, so far it'll be critical. It looks like this engineer will survive. That is huge, and I think Yama here has got a lot of thinking to do. And in terms of reclaim, you can see the big disadvantage. Actually, no, it looks like Yama is catching up, but 400, still 400 difference. He's not saving his problems, but he's got to really figure out what to do about these gestures. Still have not lost any health. This expansion will fall, and now we are seeing who has the better strategy early on. Zlo definitely at a big advantage, big power advantage. He's going to have mass control advantage soon. He has given up the middle, and Yama was able to get flak and a point defense plus his ACU, so he should be able to hold on. Zlo just needs to micro his gestures to stay away from the flak. and he will dominate. There is a very important air fight with some flak here. Jesters are going to retreat, and actually here this could be very dangerous. Some Jesters are going to die. It's 5-kill Jester, but a little more air for Zlo. He wins the battle, but now what has happened is Yama has turned into a really big flak producer. Thinking about these flak, they cannot shoot land. They're really impotent. They're purely defensive units, besides scouting. But of course, that's not a redeeming factor. Yama here will come in. We'll face the Jesters. We'll have to respect and retreat to a Tech 1 flag. And actually, if it was just this Tech 1 flag, this many Jesters can take that out very quickly and then kill the ACU. But given all this other land flak, actually out of interest, let's check out how much flak there is. 16 Tech 1 flaks. Yama in an emergency mode, his land forces are all flak, but they should be sufficient. There's 2 Auroras here. Should take care of the Mantis. If it wasn't for those, that Mantis would just shoot undefended units. So Jesters are completely countered. So what we're seeing is a situation where one player is countered by the other. Very aggressive units, no defensive, and 100% defensive units on the other side. Jesters versus flak now, and yeah, there will be a retreat from Zlo. He does not want to attack that. Perhaps he didn't think there was so much flak there. He could have come in and taken out 1, 2, or 3, but he isn't going to take out an entire force of flak, and really no reason to. A wall from Zlo to protect his expansion, and Zlo here with an advantage in mass. He's also gone Tech 2 land and going Tech 2 power very quickly. I don't see now both players fairly even in terms of production of mass. Looks like maybe some power problems, or this mass is really fluctuating. It's got to be a reclaim or something along those lines. Even power, even mass. So we have parity here. But once this mass extractor is grabbed by Yama, he will have the single mass extractor advantage. Tech 2 land though from Zlo. Meanwhile, Yama getting upgrades on his ACU. This is the gun. Not sure if he's already got the range. He does not have range. He does not have rate. See which one he gets. So we'll have gunned ACU in the middle. For the most part, flak, but also some and Jesters once again forced away. Interceptors from Yama also standing by. And still only Tech 1 from Yama. Yama going for the ACU upgrade. ACU upgrade is very nice on this map since it's so small. You can use the ACU to cover both chokes. And against Tech 2 land, it's actually a good move. But cruise missile launcher from Zlo. Zlo also sitting on Tech 2 point defense. This might be enough to start that ACU, and what Yama has to think, he cannot have his ACU go down in health, because that will give Zlo an opportunity to kill him with the Jesters. Zlo would not want to attack. Oh, now we got something important. Heavy tanks versus Auroras and flak. There's only 2 tanks here, but they're so much more powerful. Should be a massacre for Zlo, as Yama's nearly done with both of his gun upgrades. But Yama might be able to make some progress against this Tech 2 point defense. Not sure if Zlo has the gun yet. He's definitely moving his ACU up. And Zlo is thinking of an assault. He's also got an engineer that just got taken out by an Aurora. But leading the assault was a couple of Rhinos. Jesters coming in. They will take out stationary flak. They are taking some damage. Interceptors from Yama will come in. So a few Jesters. There they're going to go after the point defense. Yama is done with both upgrades. Flak moving in. Will force the Jesters away. And this is actually a big loss for Zlo. He took a risk, and I'm not sure if that paid off. He's about to lose all of his Jesters. There were plenty of interceptors for Yama to stand by and take care of any air. Now the rest of the Jesters will also die. Cruise missile launcher is nearly complete. A lot of build capacity on that. More Tech 2 point defenses for Zlo. Zlo with his Rhino tanks. I don't think they have taken any losses yet, but they have got quite a number of kills at this bottom choke point. But Yama still in control of the map, is also ahead on power, but he is behind on tech. So we're seeing his tech 2 tech not going to kill grounded planes. Very unfortunate for Yama. And of course against this ACU they got to be very scared long range. I'm assuming there's power storage. It's got to be power storage for Yama somewhere. If it doesn't, that's a shame because he has so much excess power, and without power storage these rhinos are not in that much danger. Still no missiles. I believe the cost of a single missile is 200 mass. Pretty sure that's correct. If it's not, please let me know in the comments. So anything that costs more than 200 mass is definitely a good target. There's low retreats, 2 tech to point defenses, and a lot of rhinos as Yama is pushing up. If he can cut off this expansion, this would be a very significant gain for Dharma. He has a superior weapon, but he does not want to get too confident. This is a very good force from Zlo. Would expect that now. Yeah, power storage going up for Yama. It looks like a mass extractor was taken out. Two kills for this missile launcher, which will now stand by. Some tech to flak here as well. More tech to point defenses as Yama is moving in with his ACU. He might get trapped here, but it will be difficult to trap an ACU. They can go through the wall. But yeah, now I imagine we're going to see some overcharges here soon. There's actually stealth here, which is not doing much because it's really close. Yama 9 kills, still no overcharges. Losing health rapidly. Here come the overcharges. And Aurora is coming in to support. I think here if Rhinos kept on focusing fire on the ACU, they might have a chance. And here this would be really nice time to have those gestures to finish off the deal. But Yama, a couple more overcharges, will survive. Major loss once again for Zlo. And it's going to be a lot of reclaim. Zlo now in a very bad position. He's about to lose his expansion. Be a very big disadvantage in terms of reclaim. Yama sitting at 3,000, Zlo 4,400, still ahead, but now all this Yama should suck that up fairly quickly. It looks like tech to point defense creep for Zlo. It's a very nice flak, 8 kills already. He will try to cut off this area, and actually Yama will not take the opportunity to kill those mass structures. He could have easily, yeah, he's breaking through those now. This might be a lost opportunity. Yama low health, but the guns. Zlo moves in full health and ACU, no gun. Zlo wants to grab at least some of this mass. It's about 250 mass for each one of these wrecks. 500 mass just sitting there. No reason to leave it. Zlo. Actually, Yama stole a little bit of that. The Zlo here pushing up. It's a Rhino tank. Taking a lot of hits from the ACU and the Auroras. Yama wins yet another battle. Mobile missile launchers from Zlo. They will have the range on any unit that Dharma has. Tech to land now from Yama. And Yama with tech to land. Tech 2A on the land perhaps is the strongest. Doesn't have the longest range. But the Obsidian is absolutely brutal. So land on land engagement should be an advantage for Yama, and he is making out Tech 2 engineers, and he's already got a number of Obsidians. This is a very formidable force. In terms of upgrades, we do see 1 Tech 2 mass extractor, some TMD for Yama. He was forced into building those. No TMD in the middle. These Tech 2 point defenses are in danger of getting wiped out as Zlo begins gun upgrade. Zlo also rolling around with a Tech 2 engineer. He's finished his Tech 2 power. And he's reclaimed all of his Tech 1 power and now beginning to upgrade. So very tight economy here from Zlo. He's only got the units that he needs. He's got a lot of build capacity in his engineers. He's actually reclaiming his launcher. Reclaimed all his power, even reclaimed the Hydra, which is absolutely crazy. He's been working on a single flak very efficiently. 14 kills. The mobile missile launchers taking out the middle. As Yama, this is something that we saw the beginnings of, denies the expansion. Yama definitely at an advantage in terms of map, but is he having power problems or something? He keeps on having issues with mass production, at least up here. But he is, I think both players working on their second tech to mass extractor. Actually a third now for Zlo. But with so many more mass extractors for Yama, and Yama's about to get all the expanding ones, Yama definitely in a better position. The only advantage you might see here is that Zlo does have a pretty good defensive position with these tech to point defenses. It's about 2,000 mass invested in these. He does have more long-ranged tech 2 units, but in an engagement here, tech 2 and tech 2, these Obsidians would definitely win together with the ACU especially. As we're seeing a fairly defensive move from Dharma, and not very advanced tech to point defenses. Some scouting from Zlo, also another TMD, more TMD. Yama having to respect the mobile missile launchers, the Vipers. If I was Guile, I would know all the names for all the different units. And now we're seeing Yama beginning to recycle some of his factories as well. Actually, looking back at when I learned to play a game, I would love to watch Svetavoy's replays. He was one of the better Aeon players. I wanted to learn how to play Aeon, and he was one of the players I really saw the value of reclaiming all your old stuff. He used to do that quite a bit. I'd always get that advantage when he was upgrading from the initial stages. He would just skyrocket to the Tech 2, Tech 3 stage because he would always reclaim. In this game, however, we are seeing that Zlo is doing that quite a bit better. And now a lot of build capacity on his Tech 2 factory, a lot of rhinos. See what the plan is. Zlo now has the gun. Does he have stealth? I'd be surprised if he... Yeah, he doesn't. I guess he decided not to. This is a lot of obsidians. I believe it's 400 damage per shot. I really haven't played in a while. I'm beginning to forget some of these numbers, but 8 of these in one volley, if it's 400 damage per shot, take off a quarter of the health on the ACU. So 3 volleys from all these will kill an ACU. You can imagine that about 15 seconds, even less. The ACU for Zlo would die if the Obsidians will follow, and if they would not shoot random units and shoot the ACU Zlo. See how quickly he lost his health, very dangerous. And the Obsidians actually have 0 losses. No overcharges from Zlo, 1 tank will die. You see how strong the Obsidian is, and the thing is, a lot of these will recover their health completely because they had the shield, which was, see, does it tell us? +2 health per second. Actually, veterancy is better than the regeneration of the shield. Mobile missile launchers, the Vipers shooting over the hill. Attempting to shoot over the hill, unable to do so. So the terrain on this map quite important. There's Yama here on half health, sitting on the expansion. Yama way ahead now in terms of mass production. He's sitting on all Tech 2 mass extractors. Oh, almost. He's got at least 3. He's got a couple more here. 5 going for a 6th. Zlo only has 4. And they're all Tech 2. As we're seeing another push, Zlo baiting Yama to follow him. And actually I think if... Oh, that was a good overcharge. That's one of the reasons not to follow an AC, because they will overcharge. That was 2 Obsidians that died there. Some hoplites not coming out for Zlo. He's going to try to counter the Obsidians with range. Surprised I don't see his stealth here. He did have a stealth field a little while ago. It looks like he lost it. No TMD yet from Zlo, which is surprising. If Zlo were to lose this unit here, Zlo has 520 power. He would die. There would be no chance for him. It'd be over. That's one of the reasons not to kill all your Tech 1. And now Yama beginning to make shields. And this is where Aeon at Tech 2 is so powerful, because they can make those mobile shields. So you can just turn any of your excess power into very nice units. You see only 75 power used. So you need basically 4 PGens. Yama now pushing up with his ACU. Both the ACUs very much involved in this battle. Here's a stealth field. as the metal is taken over by Zlo. He has pushed Yama off the metal. Yama has also abandoned the expansion of Zlo. Zlo will deny these. Will even out the map control. But we gotta say Yama significantly ahead in terms of eco, also getting his tech to power. Now the ACU is going at it. Yama advantage in health and range. So Zlo in a bit of trouble. This is where having stealth upgrade will be very nice for Zlo. Zlo, another tech to point defenses. Tech to point defense. And this is a map where the position of the tech to point defense is absolutely critical. Looks like more power for Yama. He's having some power problems because the Obsidians do take power. Two of them do need a single Tech 1 B-Gen to support them. Now I'm not sure if Yama sees that the only power unit for Zlo is that Tech to power generator, and this is where you might just say I'm gonna make 11 Tech 1 bombers come in from the water and end the game. 11 Tech 1 bombers is only about 1100 mass, the cost of just over a Tech 1 to Tech 2 upgrade. This is a very rare situation that a player does this, but Zlo really playing it dangerously. It looks like Tech 3 factory has been completed by Zlo. And this is where Cybern will have an advantage over Aeon at the Tech 3 land stage with the bricks. Hoplites using their range, getting overcharged by Yama. Yama with his massive Tech 2 force will run in and kill everything. As Law push back in his fairly strong defense position. Tech 3 engineer could be a bit of a surprise. And now okay, so Tech 3 Arty will be very nice. Still just Tech 2, but with shields now. Stationary shields for Yama. He will need these because that Tech 3 stationary Arty from Zlo will be quite brutal. Also cruise missile launch. I can't believe there's no TMD. A single missile in this game is over, and Yama is in position to make that very quickly. Could be that Yama has not scouted in a while. If he had scouted, he does have the units he would recognize. That Zlo has really hung himself by a thread. And yep, the Tech 3 Arty is out. I want to see how many kills this unit gets. One of the better units in the game. I mean, the game is very well balanced, so it's not better. It's just one of the better looking units in the game, both in its animation and the shell as well. Massive splash. Zlo will have to respect this force here. Yep, the shells are falling. Very effective against groups of units, especially Tech 1 just demolishes. Tech 2 can take a bit of beating. The damage from each one of these shells, I believe, something like 600. But you can spread it over many units. Actually, somebody should correct me what the damage is on the Tech 3 Arty. And they really become a lot better in numbers. And Zlo, even though he's way behind in economy, but first at the Tech 3 stage, I think he's in a position to take back a lot of land as Zlo begins to reclaim a few of those dead obsidians. Let's check out the numbers. Nearly 10,000 for Zlo. Yama at 7,400. So Zlo ahead. And Zlo, what is Dharma getting, I wonder? I think he might be getting the shield. Yeah, he's getting the shield. It takes 500. Oh, wow. Yep, those NGs died. I'm always surprised that when the Aeon ACU is getting the shield, I never see the numbers shown on the ACU. That disturbs me. It says plus 20 there. And he's definitely far away from stalling. He's taking minus. You should be using 500 power just for that upgrade. Each one of these is taking about 100, so he's using it up about 1,000 to 1,600. So it's not unreasonable that he can do this. Even if he was using it, it wouldn't be killing his economy. So it doesn't look like it's a cheat or anything. It's just It would be nice to see it. Now Yama with the shielded ACU. He's still facing a superior force here. It's a very ineffective tech-to-point defense. If it could break through that wall. And if only we could have this game with deformable terrain, with water that had waves and wind and things like that, instead of all the great ideas that people had with Supreme Commander 2. And we'll see what Planetary Annihilation looks like. We've got to give it a chance before we judge it. A brick here from Zlo. Zlo certainly has played a lot more interestingly. Yama a lot more standard. It has given him a fairly big advantage, but Yama here could be overestimating what he has. He does have a very powerful shield, 30,000 health, but I guess he had to do this to give his units a bit of time to recover. And you can see how powerful an ACU can be. And a couple more overcharge. Looks like that overcharge hit the low terrain. Terrain so critical in this game, something very much underappreciated, I think. As this battle is heating up, the Obsidian's moving up. Single brick versus Obsidians. Obsidian's not taking many losses, just one kill for that brick. And actually something I found out recently as we're seeing all this Tech 3 artillery. I do follow news about real-time strategy a little too much and look at all the top lists, but one list that has I have missed in a long time. If you notice, like if you look at Steam, when they sell a game, they always have that Metacritic score, which is based on professional reviewers who get paid for what they do. So yeah, whoever pays more money gets a higher score, and that's where you see like Supreme Commander FA has a score of 81 there, so it never makes any top lists based on that score. But if you actually went to Metacritic and looked at the user score for real-time, just in strategy games, Supreme Commander has been on top for a long time. I think the last rating was in 2011, but it is top of the list ahead of every single game. And what that made that list even more good, at least for me, is that the second game there is Total Annihilation. So Total Annihilation and Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, the first and second games, one of the top strategy games for PC based on Metacritic. Some nice overcharges from Dharma, and that was before Forged Alliance Forever. Let's see. And that's one thing of and as I'm talking here, Zlo has made a big push through the middle. The ACU for Dharma has been absolutely brutal. He demolished a whole bunch of bricks here, as we're seeing Harbies 1v1 here. And actually Harbies is something I was shown by Blackheart in low numbers, and this could be a situation of low numbers, a break against two Harbies. Harbies with micro can dodge brick shots quite effectively. And when they're in close proximity, their damage per second is actually equal. 300 damage per second. It is also 300 damage per shot for Harby. It is less for the brick, but the brick is a little more rapid. As we're seeing shells from Zlo. Zlo with this massive, this is where this unit makes its money right here. As the Harby's coming in, Zlo needs to take care of it. The shells keep on falling. And if these shields go down and that power goes down, this is pretty much game. Almost the second power for, and finally some TMD as well. That means Zlo absolutely minimal. As a Harby up top demolishes a couple Tech 2 units. Zlo has been at an inferior position this entire game, and the shields are down. Oh, this is absolutely terrible position now for Yama. Is just a very bad position with the ACU. This has been by far his best unit, and if it was here, he would have for sure forced all this artillery from Zlo from firing. Actually, this artillery from Zlo firing at their own units. He is trying to kill the Harbies, and the Harbies sacrificing themselves against the ACU by denying. And a couple more shells here, 3-4 more shells, and Yama would have lost his tech to power and would have been game over. As Yama has made it back into the middle. And the reason power is so critical for Yama is that he does have a ACU shield, which will not run without power. So this, a heavy shield, this I think is a mistake from Dharma. This will take so much to build. It takes 3,000 mass. 3,000 mass, very expensive. If he gets it built though, it'll be very difficult to break through. But this is a big missed opportunity. Finally a scout coming in from Zlo. Yep. And I anticipate now shells from these two RDs to start falling on this shield. And if they can hit that shield before it's built, Zlo needs to fire now. If he doesn't, yeah, it looks like he's not enraged. He's gonna miss this opportunity. Once that shield is up, okay, let's see if these shells fall. Wow, that's how close that was. Oh my god. And that's why a Tech 2 shield would have been so much better in that position. Okay, I think that might be game over right there. It was a few second difference, and now the artillery. Oh wow, Yama, he did so many great battles early on. He did win very important battles, and I think he would have had this at the end. Such a superior eco. He made two critical mistakes where his ACU was way out of position. He won this battle, but he did not need to stay here. Plenty of Tech 2 point defense to protect against some bricks. If he would have stayed in the middle, he would have never lost the Tech 2 shield. And the second mistake is he went for a Tech 3 shield instead of Tech 2. He almost got away with it, but he did not. And the Yama here, I'm saying he is in bad position, but he does have this base back here where he does have a Tech 2 power, which will keep him going at least for a while, but this is a major loss. This Yama now in the middle will push back. This will give him a little more time. Bricks will reestablish control on the bottom, plus some engineers. Some nice reclaim. And I'm seeing a lot of dead mass extractors. Is it cruise missiles again? Yeah, it looks like cruise missile launcher with 12 kills. Something that I missed. I see a lot of dead mass extractors. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. That's another thing that happened. All the TMD here that Yama built was taken out by the Tech 3 Arty. Finally, some Tech 2 shields. We're going to see the Tech 2 power be rebuilt. So Yama will recover, but he has lost his economy advantage. It was a major loss. And now with the reclaim here, a lot of nice reclaim plus some mass extractors available. And yeah, TMD. It'll be very difficult for Yama to recover from this. Although he's doing quite well, given the situation. And he does have a very powerful ACU, which will be still very difficult to kill. And there is a Tech 3 mass extractor. This is the thing that's been keeping Yama alive. I think a missed opportunity if Zlo would have taken this out instead of all the other stuff, which you could have. So a bit of a mistake once again from Zlo. Both players making mistakes, as we're seeing Tech 2 Arty. And both players making mistakes. Two of the definitely top, well, I keep saying top 10, top 20. I mean, they're some of the top players in the game today. So that just means there's still a lot of room to grow. And the shells are going to start falling again. This is where, yep, second shield will be very important. And Yama, once again, a bit out of position. This is where he needs to be. And actually against these, especially when they're bunched up like this, Tech 1 bombers, such an underused unit. You can see only 850 health. All it takes is 5 bombers, and even 3 bombers will scare these so much that Zlo will most likely move them. So investing 300 mass, 400 mass into bombers, having him stand by, absolutely critical in these types of battles. Because you can see that there's really nothing preventing. I guess now there is a Tech 3 anti-air way back here, but that would not stop any assaults. And you can see now Yama has been demoralized. He's not even going to wait. He has realized that he's such a bad position here at minute 34. He's once again lost the shields. Once again, Tech 3 shield. Yama just going after very expensive units. And once he lost that shield, it was just too much. It was the beginning of the end for his base. Could be argued that he could have kept on fighting. He still had quite a few good units, but it would have taken a big effort. So I definitely enjoyed this one. Hopefully you guys did as well. Hello and welcome to Rivers. We got two of the top players in the history of the game. In a ranked game, Voodoo and Zock. Voodoo, I don't think he has played much lately, but I think actually both Voodoo and Zock have been hosting some tourneys lately, which is always nice. Looks like Voodoo second land. It might be a bit dangerous if Zock goes second air. We'll see what he does. Looks like the AC is going to pick up every mass extractor. One thing I gotta say about Zock, especially recently, his Twitch stream has been absolutely awesome. I think in terms of casts or streams, what he has going is probably the most fun to watch, especially for people who understand the game. I think for newer players who just want entertainment, Guile is very hard to beat. But otherwise, Zock's streams, he's just so good. Just watching him will improve you so much, and definitely encourage people to watch those. Looks like very aggressive in terms of expansion, and a hunter. No scouts yet. So this is where, if one of these players went very aggressive, light assault bot, it might work out. Something that Napalm likes to do. But an interesting trajectory for this light assault bot. Also combined with the two expanding engineers, this light assault bot would cover anything that's coming through. So very logical, very obvious, but you see very few people do this. So that's one thing about Zock. I think a lot of things are so obvious to him that a lot of people don't do. And also one thing about his streams, he's actually able to talk and play at the same time, which is kind of pretty amazing. You can see he's quite aggressive. It's a light assault bot and a scout on either side, and looks like he will grab this mass. Something that's almost always neglected, but Zock will not neglect it. But he has neglected these back to mass extractors, which is very interesting. Usually people run after these. This is one of the things that I do as well. Looks like second air from Zock. And Voodoo looks like he's pulling his usual build here. An assist on the ACU. He's also got an engineer and a big power spam the UEF logo in PGens, and see if that gets finished. A very aggressive scout to the middle from Zock. He's got a light assault bot coming around. Another light assault bot. Looks like there's a tank coming in support of this engineer. This light assault bot, this will be very close. Actually, let's check out what Voodoo's seeing. I think that engineer, because it was reclaiming, saved itself. Voodoo is in danger of losing this engineer here, but he's already built up. Yeah, looks like Zock is not seeing what's happening. This engineer back here from Voodoo, this will be very bad for Voodoo to lose. You can see Voodoo is absolutely no rating whatsoever. It looks like this engie will die, but as long as Zock protects those mass extractors, it's not that big a deal. Losing this engie would be a little more annoying, but losing this one would be the worst of all, and that might just happen. Yep, Zock has snuck his light assault bot in. Some problems for Voodoo. Meanwhile, Zock is going to go across, and his engineer here has got quite a bit of reclaim. He's already at 1,000. He's actually wasting mass because this engineer in the middle, and that's one of the dangers of not going on an assault. Successful raid from Zock on the side. Successful kill for a hunter that's retreating. A tank is chasing. But one of the reasons you can't use up all this mass is that to use it all, you need a lot of power. To make power, you need power. So there's a built-in time limit. You can help yourself by not making too much air, but Zock was second air, very not aggressive air. So going a third air from Voodoo was not a problem. It looks like a very quick transport. This is something that Voodoo loves to do. And this is where I think if Zock would have scouted and got air control, it could have really made Zock pay. And looks like, where did the slide assault bot go? It looks like it died to something. Perhaps that engineer reclaimed it. I must have missed it. Zock scouting, seeing if anybody's taken this bottom island. Top island looks like will be taken by Voodoo. Zock not making any transports yet. And interesting, Zock, well, he skipped those rocks because he had way too much reclaim anyway. And this engineer is probably, I think this is the first engineer of the game from Zock, has been getting a lot of free mass. And Zock power stalling here. He is a bit ahead on power, but a bit behind on mass extraction, which is not really that big a deal. Zock has now seen that that's an issue, and I think this mole here is cloaked. Probably stay there for a long time. As we're seeing a Mantis versus a Striker. Oh, and it looks like that Striker killed itself. If it wouldn't move, usually Striker gets the victory. On the other side, we also got a group of 3 Strikers, which will be met by Zock. Superior force will have no problems. As this engineer, I'm surprised these mech marines haven't been reclaimed. It's nice to reclaim him just so the other player doesn't get him. Zock quite a bit ahead in terms of power. In terms of mass, he's doing alright. In terms of reclaim, very similar. There's still a bit of reclaim left over for Zock if he chooses to pick that up. And this bottom island now, it does appear that Voodoo will be a little quicker. And this air, these interceptors, quite expensive for Zock because he invested so much in air. He has been power stalling really because of this production, and they have done absolutely nothing for him. And I think they were, well, besides a bit of scouting, but I think they were in a position to kill those transports. And I think this is also a lost opportunity. He could have killed that transport as well, but that has not happened. So on this map, since there are so many mass constructors, it will be at a bit of an eco war, and both of the raids from either side have been defended well. Neither player is really going to want to do anything too crazy. Want to establish parity in terms of map control, and so far Voodoo is getting an advantage with a successful drop. Unless Zock can grab back this bottom island, that's an 8 mass extractor advantage, which would be very difficult for Zock to overcome. Successful point defense for Zock. On the other side also point defense. You can see radar, no radar here, and this is where usually a wall is built. There's a nice group of units for Zock. Zock using his ACU defensively. Voodoo also up top. Not too much happening so far. In terms of production, see that UEF sign didn't really make it. Tech 2 land. I got an HQ here. It's could say it's a bit behind this hill, but not really. It would have been nice to put right behind it to protect from missiles. I think I just heard point defense somewhere, and looks like we will see a drop from Zock. He will try to challenge. There's already a factory, a second one coming up for Voodoo. Voodoo's actually in a significant deficit in terms of mass production, it seems. Should be able to even that out. That could be the number of Tech 2 mass extractors. I should check that. It's only 2 for Zock so far. None for Voodoo. He's 100% Tech 1. Power stalling. So in terms of eco, definitely an advantage for Voodoo. That's one of the reasons this expansion here has been very slow. And that could be dangerous because Zock is building up very quickly. That's one of the problems with having a bad economy. Your execution of grabbing faraway lands here just cannot happen as efficiently as it should. Looks like another drop being readied by Zock. Zock, I think once he grabs this side island, he'll be in control. We are seeing a whole bunch of Tech 2 now being produced, some pillars, and multiple Tech 2 factories for Voodoo. He's upgrading even more. He's going to absolutely use the NG mod as Zock is preparing to drop. As we're now going to see this battle. See 2 factories for Zock, 2 factories for Voodoo, but Voodoo significantly behind in numbers. Successful drop from Zock and the back of Voodoo's base. Interesting that this Hydra has not been taken by Voodoo. I think he is one player that could have appreciated a bit of power early on. And Voodoo looks like he is going to prepare a force here on the right side. Just a holding force up top. Zock is going to see a force come in. He'll pull back in a defensive position. He does have a bunch of Tech 1 point defenses. This is where he wants to fight. He might give up this Tech 1 point defense. Very important raider here for Zock as well. As we're seeing, Zock will go after the engineers, trying to get a point defense up. This could be problems for Voodoo on the bottom as Voodoo begins to push ahead. He does have a couple pillars in this position, so definitely a stronger force for Voodoo. These Manti are outgunned. They should retreat. We do now see a Tech 2 factory for Zock, significantly late. Tech 2, he's got Tech 2 engineers. He's going to go Tech 2 point defenses, but this could be an issue for Zock. As a couple pillars now come in, we'll take care. Actually, not too much here for Voodoo. Not a big loss, just a single Tech 1 mass extractor. Say it is a bit disappointing. And in terms of engagements, not much has happened. This actually, perhaps surprisingly, Voodoo is still holding on to this position. It's just a stream of units dying, so a superior micro from Voodoo. Maybe a couple more factories, or even a support Tech 2 factory would be nice from either player. As in the bottom, successful assault from Voodoo. He will have to skirt the wall, which will buy Zock a bit of time. Zock is going to move with his ACU to play some defense. Tech 2 engineers spam Tech 2 point defenses. As Voodoo will run into a Tech 1 point defense. So even Voodoo runs into Tech 1 point defenses. Looks like another successful drop from Zock. So these successful drops, they are doing a bit of damage, but not that significant. Zock behind on power, but ahead on mass. And yeah, not having enough power. Well, actually, this is a very small deficit, but it is a bit dangerous to play like that. One of the reasons it's bad to play, because you can see the radar flickering on and off, and that is giving a significant advantage to Voodoo's units. They can creep in at the worst possible time. It looks like a successful drop here from Voodoo. Something I must have missed, or this was... Apologize, unless this was all this force that got around. But a lot of dead units here from Voodoo. ACU for Zock, 5 kills. And now these pillars, they need to move. If they don't move, it looks like it'll be a successful defense from Zock. Zock now up by 20 mass. And Voodoo is actually getting quite a bit of reclaim here from dead Zock's units. Or Zock's dead units. Tech 2 power, we're now seeing a significant amount of cruise missile possibilities for Voodoo. If he chooses to go cruise missiles, he's already got a number of Tech 2 power generators. He's slightly ahead of Zock in terms of that. But Zock now close to the 100 mass production limit, and this is where we might see the Tech 2 stage get skipped very quickly by Zock, going straight to bricks. Although the Tech 3 stage, even though Cyber bricks are so powerful, Gotta remember UEF does have the Percy, which will be an advantage to Voodoo. Voodoo, meanwhile, building up a very significant Tech 2 force. This is a lot of pillars. Here, minute 14. 29 pillars, that's a lot of health. Each one of these, 1,500 health. So 30 times 1,500. So 45,000. That's a spider bot worth of health. And each one of these will shoot quite a bit of damage. And actually, if they moved in right now, this would be very bad for Zock. It will take a lot of overcharge to kill all those, and it's just a couple, actually just a single tech 2-point defense here. This tech 1-point defense is dead. We are seeing cruise missiles being readied by Zock. This factory making flak, a lot of paused factories. So Zock is betting on the fact that Voodoo will not attack. Voodoo also has some mobile missile launchers in this force. Voodoo, even though he's way behind on eco, but he has built up a superior force. It looks like Zock will finally take care of this problem that he had with Voodoo. This will even out map control. And here, minute 15, let's check out the reclaim numbers. 10,000 for Voodoo. Zock only 6,500. And now Zock really going way ahead in terms of production. So Zock, more Tech 2-point defenses. Cruise missile launchers still not firing. Tech 1-point defenses going up for Zock. But actually, these mobile missile launchers might be able to take those out, and they will take those out rather quickly. Let's see here what Zock can see. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Completely in my mind and on your screen. So Zock has to be wondering here. He is seeing this is a lot of Tech 2. He's got to take some emergency measures, and the easiest thing is big walls of Tech 1-point defenses. Just get like 20 of those. That'd be the way to go. He's got quite a few. He's beginning to go Tech 3. As Voodoo really hasn't been taking up, his mass production has been quite constant. He has stopped producing power. He does have some TMD, and as we're seeing the cruise missiles up in the air, as the Tech 2-point defenses from Zock here slowly disappearing. And this stream of units from Voodoo's factories continues to build up this force, which is just getting bigger and bigger. And the cruise missiles, are they going to be successful? They're attempting to hit the HQ. The HQ has successfully defended. This TMD doing a good job. And now a shield from Voodoo, so fairly secure. You can see a lot of Tech 1 mass extractors in Voodoo's base as the mass production continues to climb for Zock. So Zock will certainly win if he gets a chance to build up a brick force, because something like 10 bricks here will easily take, even less, like 5 bricks together with what he has right now, should be able to hold. Voodoo, what he's seeing, I mean, he's scouting now. He will see that there's a lot of TMD here. He will see that Zock is going Tech 3. He can't really see way back there. But what he's seen here, there's really not a lot of firepower. Now we're actually seeing some shields. Yeah, this TMD has been working out quite good for Zock, but his defensive position continues to diminish. Zock, instead of investing in defense, investing in power up front. So definitely feeling safe, as now we're seeing just a straight up move order, no micro here. Looks like all the units are going to be moved in a straight line. We're seeing the first brick on the field. You see the front lines are going to take a lot of the beating, but they will allow the units from behind to come in, and this is a lot of firepower here from these pillars. The brick is taking quite a bit of time for that brick to kill, and actually more emergency defense is going up for Zock. A couple of overcharges from Zock would be nice. And you can see this is a weak point in Zock's defensive. A lot of it was focused right over here, but actually all these Tech 1s are not firing. Medusa's doing their things. You can see a lot of units being frozen, and now this is looking very bad. The force from Voodoo is not really diminishing, and very good looking mobile missile launchers firing from distance. It looks like they're targeting the Tech 3 factory, the HQ. Once that goes down, it's basically over for all these factories. These are Tech 2s. They're going to stop producing. So only Tech 1 capability from Zock. Voodoo actually splits off a force, is going to take out this expansion. A lot of Tech 2 mask extractors all over the place for Zock. Zock's still alive, but he has lost his HQ. A lot of reclaim. If he can survive this, which, looking at it, it looks very bad. He's still way ahead. He's more than doubling Voodoo in production. So if he can kill these somehow by emergency point defenses, etc., he still has a brick, 17 kills, the only brick that he's made. If he can survive and keep his Tech 2 power, rebuild, get more build capacity. And this is another thing that happens besides losing power. If you lose build capacity, you're at a very big disadvantage in terms of time. The brick, 22 kills, will try to take out mobile missile launchers, and this force from Voodoo, very minor losses while attacking a base. He did lose a number of units, but still most of his units are intact. Successful defense in the expansion for Zock, who's actually now even with Voodoo. A huge loss for Zock in terms of mass production. And factories now is critical for Zock. He needs to reestablish build capacity if he has any hope, which it doesn't look like he does, because the damage continues. The brick, the lone brick, 34 kills. And Voodoo now moving in at the heart of Zock's base. This could actually be a mistake if all these Tech 1 point defenses. No, just not enough firepower. I think what we're seeing here, new respect for the pillar. EAF do not need to wait for the Percy to run you over. And now this is surely over. Here after 21 minutes, what we've seen is sometimes getting a better economy is not a good idea when you're facing Voodoo. A lot of these Tech 1 point defense is still alive. A lot of kills on all those, but not enough. So GG called by Zock. He dies. Also some Janus bombers here looking for the final kill. Hopefully people enjoy this one. Hello and welcome to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. This will be a series of game between Zock and Blackheart, the two top players in this game today. These games are all ranked, and they're all on the same day. So, and it looks like they're both playing random, and I think both got pretty good factions for this map. Aeon got Aeon, oh sorry, Blackheart got Aeon, and Aeon got Blackheart. Zock, meanwhile, got Seraphim. I think early on Aeon definitely an advantage with the Aurora, but with numbers, yeah, Seraphim on the water map definitely have a number of big advantages. Of course, the floating arty, and then the Tech 2 Navy is just an excellent asset. Second air from Blackheart. This map, if you're not familiar with it, has a lot of reclaim here. Do not want to neglect these little trucks besides the bigger chunks. That's actually great targets for bombers. Zock, a lot of walking with the ACU. Very quick engineer to expand. All the land masses have 8 mass extractors. So if it was a 2v2, every player would get 8. The main land mass here, 16. 8 on the side. Also a lot of reclaim. So you really want to grab these expansions. If you lose both of them, you're basically screwed. But there have been games where a player gets the middle chunk and somebody else gets the outsides. So that could be interesting. So yeah, this series of games, I think it'll be good. Looks like an early FLAC. I can't remember, it's either 5 or 6 games. I haven't seen any of them. But it should show which player, at least on that day, is a little better. It is a very difficult call. On larger maps, I think Zock would have an advantage on more unusual maps. Blackheart has shown his build orders are just amazing. The way he balances eco, he really plays perfect in some situations. Let's see what perfection looks like on this map. He did play very defensively so far. Forward scout and flak, waiting for any interceptors or bombers. Zock, yeah, he's going second air as well. Not clear what he's going to make from that. We are seeing floating arty. The position of these will be very critical. And maybe here Zock can show that he's played this map much more than Blackheart. This map is relatively new on the ladder. And there is a lot of very interesting positions that you could stick floating arty into. And of course this engineer and this engineer for Zock, very critical for taking the expansions and prime targets for bombers or auroras. From Blackheart and making interceptors. First scout from Zock, a little bit slower. We do see Blackheart a significant advantage in terms of power. That's really what the ECU for Blackheart has been doing. Also BGen here in the middle by this engineer that's been reclaiming. Your scout for Zock flies over the flag. Good placement on the flag. The scout for Blackheart still alive. So he is going to see early navy from Zock, very early. Zock, meanwhile, yeah, he did get a glimpse, but did not see if there was a navy or not. And yeah, it looks like this floating arty from Zock is going to look for an engineer building a factory on the side. And appears a submarine, first submarine from Zock. We are going to see a response from Blackheart. He will build a navy of his own. On the other side, we are seeing a floating arty. We'll try to deny this aurora and engineer. This aurora should be good enough for defense unless it walks into a shell. More auroras to the side and a drop being raided by Blackheart here in minute 4. This engineer successfully ran all the way to the reclaim. Surprisingly didn't try to make a factory first, went straight for the reclaim. So far in terms of reclaim, Zock at 1200 getting a lot more rapidly. Blackheart 1800. Interesting that there's a disadvantage. There's still a bit left here for Zock. Zock getting quite a bit from the side. Looks like this will be a successful drop. Engineers and Aurora. Interceptor for Zock. Zock has made he's making multiple submarines, but they're not moving out. And a bit of luck here from Zock. He will deny this engineer. Very nice already right between two auroras. Unlucky from Blackheart. Meanwhile, this transport zeroed in by Zock's Air Force will take it out of commission, but it did its job. And the other arty here from Zock, very effective artillery from Zock so far, taking out both expanding engineers. Meanwhile, Zock successfully makes a factory up on top. He still has this engineer walking. So Zock has a pretty good chance on taking the top expansion. On the bottom, it looks like it will be Blackheart, but a bit of that mass from the bottom has been stolen by Zock. Zock still behind on power production. 2300 reclaimed, Blackheart 2900. And it does look like I've heard rumors that this map is imbalanced toward the top, that there is more reclaim. And I think that might be true unless Zock is not picking up some of the reclaim that he has. There's a little bit here, but not that much. Haven't seen any big air battles, and it looks like a wall here by Blackheart, so he's signaling he's not really going to go attack through the middle choke point, the ACU for Zock, upgrading some mask extractors. As we're seeing a lot of Auroras moving down, so a big force from Blackheart will try to secure this area. From Blackheart, and on top we are seeing bombers, the first Air Force attacking units. These Auroras are going to try to secure that reclaim, as we're seeing THAMs from Zock. Scout for Blackheart is dead, so these Auroras might be at a bit of disadvantage. Now we're going to see a little bit of micro, some dodging action from Zock, and once he gets close to the Auroras, he's going to win this battle. That was critical that that scout for Blackheart was killed. He could have pulled it back, given the Auroras a few more shots. But now a transport coming in from Blackheart. Is he going to drop off his units? I'm confused by what just happened. And now we're seeing a Navy from... It looks like Blackheart has given up on the top. But yeah, Navy from Zock is moving. There are submarines for both players. And submarine significantly stronger than the Seraphim. 400 health versus 550. More subs, and of course the frigates for Aeon also have anti-torpedo, but no frigates here. 3 versus 2. Be a victory for Blackheart, very important victory. So a couple frigates here as well for Zock, as we're seeing a first major air battle, which Blackheart appears to be winning. Blackheart significant advantage in terms of power, but appears that Zock has been upgrading some mass extractors. He's already got 3. He's going for 4th tech 2. Big naval spam. But the loss of air, and now Blackheart will abuse the Auroras to the maximum extent that he can. The frigate is no longer a valid counter given the submarines. So now it's going to be dangerous. The Aurora is either countered by frigates or bombers here. No air control means no bombers, and no naval control means no frigates. Auroras are free to do damage, and they're coming in from both directions against Zock. Zock is making more subs. He's making them very quickly. Perhaps pausing that mass extractor might be a good idea, but a power stall from Zock. And now this frigate, yeah, it's going to get a lot of kills. A couple engineers are a target. Interesting, this is still alive here. Blackheart appears to have also upgraded a single mass extractor. Blackheart is completely taken over the bottom right side expansion. The top expansion is almost completely taken over by Zock. Zock also getting quite a bit of reclaim up on top. And amazingly, this bomber allowed to bomb those Auroras. Very inexcusable, as the submarines continue to get more victories for Blackheart. See what the reclamation numbers are now. Zock 6,700, Blackheart only 45. So I think that's where Zock stole quite a bit of this mass here from the bottom. No mass stolen up on top. So Zock now ahead in the reclaim game. And Blackheart perhaps needs to push a little harder with his forces, otherwise things might be bad. Yeah, this is already a significant submarine force. I think, yeah, this is not enough subs to protect those Auroras. Zock was able to pump out enough Navy. He just needs a couple frigates. He's got a very good looking economy. The time for Auroras is very rapidly passing, as the ACU for Blackheart here isn't a transport. That's interesting. This is a very common move. I did not notice. So Tech 2 Air Swiftwinds. Very good idea always. And what is Blackheart doing? He's going to drop. It's almost as if Blackheart thinks it's a desperate moment. I expected him to drop this expansion. I think if this is a Tech 2 ACU and yeah, I think Blackheart, when he was scouting, he saw those Tech 2 mass extractors, and he thought that Zock was way ahead, and he went for something crazy. perhaps it was a mistake. Blackheart throws this first game. Let's see if he can make a comeback. I think if he would have dropped this area with his AC UFO stick too, he could have really got map control advantage, and it would have been very bad for Zock. Zock would have likely gone Tech 2 Navy, which would have been dangerous, but with Tech 2 Air and air control from Blackheart plus superior economy, I think he could have won. It would have been very, very close. I think the move from Blackheart with a drop would have evened things out, even though Zock had superior eco. So we'll never know. One thing I want to start doing is look at this menu at the end just to see the stats, just so people get a feeling for how things go. I really like this mass curve. You can see somewhere around minute 7 something happened, likely a reclaim boost where Zock just started upgrading really quickly. It's probably the upgrading portion. They're both pretty parallel, but he really got a big advantage. For a while here, Blackheart did have an advantage. He did get a little more of that early reclaim. In terms of power, you see Blackheart was ahead most of the time, but Zock was beginning to catch up. Total built Zock, really, after he got that eco, he just skyrocketed. Yeah, really well played there from Zock, but he really, the way he won it was just Blackheart throwing it away at the end. Hello and welcome to game 2 between Blackheart and Zock. This one we got White Fire and Zock getting EF versus Blackheart, who got Cyber. And on this map, I think Cyber do have an advantage. EF, Davy. If you can get Deck 3, it's pretty good, but Deck 2 is Cyber with the range, even with a shield, significant advantage. EF do have some tricks with Riptides, and eventually the cruisers are very effective on this map. But we'll see if Blackheart can use that advantage. Also, I think Corsairs are very powerful on this map, sniping early Tech 2 power generators. But early on, a lot of mass here, a lot of reclaim. Those are huge wrecks that you want to get to. A lot of early strategies revolve around stealing these from your enemy. Also, strategies involve dropping on enemy territory. These are very vulnerable to a drop. So you want to secure first the reclaim and also this area, get radar here. And for offense, you can just walk and early engineer across without anybody noticing. It's very effective. Looks like Zock early engie on one of these wrecks, and actually no, sorry, Blackheart. Now Blackheart's red. One big mistake that people make is they put an engineer here and reclaim past the point where they have the capacity, so they overfill. You only have 770 mass that you can store. And Blackheart will stop and start the naval factory. So a standard thing to do. Blackheart looking at an air factory, and you can see here after minute 2 he still hasn't built all of his mass extractor, focusing all of his build capacity. You can see 2 engineers in ACU. Definitely a very good thing to do. In general, build orders, when you have a lot of early mass, we don't even need to build mass extractors. You want to maximize that build capacity and get as much power as possible. Very similar situation from Zock. Actually, the only difference is that Zock is slower at producing power. One of the reasons, he's got more expanding engineers, he's got earlier Navy, but a lot more build capacity on power from Blackheart. And that power might translate into ability to make more stuff early. And a map that's a little larger could turn into a big advantage, because all these early moves, earlier Navy from Zock might not be that big a deal, or earlier expanding engineer might also be countered, and that advantage that Zock might have with this very advanced engineer will be erased, because the price of this advanced engineer is felt right here in the economy, where Blackheart is really beginning to run away with it. You can see now it's 3 engineers and ACU. Zock is still just on his, now he's got 2 engineers on power, making interceptors. Very good build order so far from Blackheart. And I think he has just had scouts all over the map, so he should have noticed that he needs to take care of that engineer. Another thing he needs to take care of is this frigate, which will be a very big nuisance, and also a bomber from Zock. So interceptors from Blackheart have a lot of work to do here with this bomber, plus something needs to be done here, and we do see an early bomber from Blackheart. You might see very important micro here coming up. Zock, if he can dodge his bomber, take care of that. As Zock gets nothing with that bomber. Good defense. It's all about that early detection. Those early scouts from Blackheart really gave him that advantage. This frigate will deny any engineers, but here, unlucky. I think Zock tricked himself. He moved back and forth. I think he moved back into the path. So Blackheart, with that successful defense, has nullified really any advantage that Zock might have had. And now Zock is beginning to catch up with power a little bit. Zock on a big Tech 1 naval spam. Only one factory from Blackheart so far. He's made a submarine to counter this frigate. And the ACU for Blackheart also moving across. Bomber from Blackheart did his job, not doing much else. As Zock has moved across, this is a common thing for ACUs to do. Sometimes ACUs are aggressive and they walk across to try to grab enemy mass. That's a dangerous thing to do, because if an enemy goes heavy navy, get your ACU stuck in the middle and you lose. So more often than not, ACUs are walked across to secure the other area from drops, things like that. See more air factories planned by Blackheart. One thing not to neglect is all these trees. There's actually quite a few rocks here as well. They're not that critical early on now because of the reclaim. But the game early on is really about who can utilize that mass quicker. These two big chunks of mass, and it's all about build capacity and power. And so far, Blackheart has been the better player in that regard. See, in terms of expansion, Blackheart has also been a bit better. This middle island utilized much more rapidly. Although the Hydra from Zock, it's really that Hydra that is allowing him to catch up in terms of power. Zock has actually overtaken Blackheart. See, Blackheart is now actually mass stalling, and that's because he has just got to this wreck. I don't think that mass stall is going to be that critical. But what we're seeing is that both players are splitting the mass very evenly. A successful drop from Zock. Actually, two different groups of engineers. Let's see if only one of those will be spotted. Very nice move from Zock. He will anticipate these two engineers to be killed, but if the others stay out of sight, which will take a bit of luck, they might be able to get a base going. Another thing a Blackheart seeing is a lot of Navy, so he's starting Navy of his own, 100% submarines. That's something to take notice of. If you want to play defensive Navy, it's all about submarines. For Zock, we're seeing both frigates and submarines. He wants to use those as an offensive force. As Zock has started a factory, now making engineers, he'll make an anti-air turret. As a bomber has spotted the other drop. The engineer has now been killed, but mass extractors for Zock getting him a little bit of mass. He's also now ahead in terms of mass production, and Tech 2 mass extractors will be critical. Who can upgrade faster? On this map we already see Tech 2 from Zock, 2 Tech 2 mass extractors, and at least 2.5 for Blackheart. Fairly even with still a power advantage. This is where Tech 2 factory is very nice to get Tech 2 power. See big groups of engineers. Still 4, actually many more, 7 engineers on power production for Blackheart. He's putting a lot of his power, a lot of his build capacity, a lot of his economy in general. As Zock, very nice move. He's used this factory to make mech marines, which he sent around the ACU, and these will be very effective. These are very good at dodging bombers if they're microed. Very good at killing engineers. have potential to do a lot of damage unless some Manti come out for Blackheart. As Zock has built up a very significant Tech 1 force on the water, but it is mostly frigates, so should be nicely countered by the submarines. The one problem might be with large numbers, the submarines take a long time to kill the frigates. As the mech marines from Zock doing their thing. Very nice move, but Blackheart capturing UEF technology. What a gift. So no mixing rules in ranked. UEF plus Cyber on Navy will be absolutely brutal if if Blackheart is able to utilize this. Shields plus Tech 2 Navy will be nice as mech marines taking out mask extractors. Successful dodge from Zock. Blackheart moving his subs back. And I really gotta say, this force has been rather ineffective from Zock. He is really focusing on eco, it seems. More air factories. Not too many engineers on the power spam. And he is beginning to fall behind once again. No Tech 2 yet from either player, as we're seeing many Tech 2 mask extractors from Zock. And actually the sequence of Tech 2 mask extractors on this map is quite a critical thing, and a lot of times people choose not to upgrade some of these further ones because they're so much more vulnerable to an attack. And what people do is they get a couple Tech 2s and they go quickly to a Tech 3. Might not be as efficient, but it becomes more efficient if you would have a battle you win and you have a lot of reclaim. But it is much safer in terms of protecting your investments. And it looks like very even map control. As Zock moves in with his frigate force, will begin to do damage. Quite a bit of anti-air here. A few subs mixed in, but this submarine force will have absolutely no problems. I think Zock will soon realize that he is outgunned underwater, will retreat. Yeah, full retreat will be a nice field of dead frigates for Blackheart to reclaim. We have Tech 2 now from Zock in Navy. He's still ahead on mass, but Blackheart actually now ahead also on power and mass. I think Zock is now investing quite heavily into Tech 2 Navy, which he must if he wants to keep Navy. Nice sonars from Zock. Good placement, and a drop now coming from Blackheart, and it should be successful. There's really nothing here for Zock to play defense with. Blackheart was forced to make a whole bunch of defense, lots of scouting from Zock, and this will be a very big problem. Manti. Bit disappointing that there was an engineer in that drop as well. Tech 2 Navy from Blackheart as well. Both players have moved into the Tech 2 naval stage. Destroyers from both players. And Blackheart here not moving out with his subs, keeping them home. Really nice piece of scouting from Zock. He's seen everything. And a Tech 3 sonar. So Blackheart with that power advantage is using it. You see it's 250 power, but he has total recon on anything that's on water. Of course, the frigates from UEF are putting a whole bunch of fake blimps on the map, but still Blackheart can anticipate any attack, which is huge, and you can see his Manti doing very good work as Zock continues to dodge here with a sonar, another sonar. Good work from Tech 1 bombers. First destroyer from Blackheart, and you can see on this map that's a very significant range, and we'll see if the stealth, you can see the stealth radius on the sonar is absolutely massive. So all this is under a stealth field. I want to want to see who's going to get a Tech 3 mass extractor first, but you can see big mass deficit from Blackheart. Blackheart seeing a huge navy. He's seen Tech 2. He's investing heavily into his Tech 2 navy instead of upgrading his mass extractors, although now he is ahead. 1600 reclaim, only 1300 from Zock. There were a couple lost frigates here that were picked up. Yet another destroyer from Zock. We're also seeing Tech 2 land. Tech 2 power from Zock is cut up on power. As these Manti are finally going to be killed. But yet another drop comes in. This one's an NG drop. So this destroyer really occupied for playing defense. Nice reclaim. And you can see Zock has no vision on what's going on with Blackheart's navy. That's the stealth. You can see all those scouts are not going to make it. But he really has no idea about the movements of Blackheart. You will now see shells come out of nowhere from the long-range destroyers of Cybern. And his response is really to throw in a shield to destroyers, as Zock is putting out a fire here in the top corner with Blackheart moving ahead. I think this advantage that Blackheart has was really earned by that Mantis drop. It gave Blackheart a slight advantage, and it's really going to stay there. So I take to power more. Take to power now for Blackheart. You see, it's a single destroyer just moved out. I think it's going to come out from underneath the stealth here shortly. And one thing on this map, very dangerous, if you open up your production to an attack, you might lose it. It's one of the reasons you kind of want to stay close, where you can shuttle your navy back and forth. As we're now seeing an assault from Zock. Pretty much a straight to move order. He's appeared to be on a scouting mission ahead, as destroyers from Blackheart are going to begin to get kills using their range. Submarines for Blackheart moved ahead for recon. Sonar's pulled back with a couple of frigates, and actually these destroyers might be in trouble here. I think Blackheart left those out there for a little too long. In close range, when they can't use their range advantage, they're definitely outgunned. Although these subs for Blackheart will provide them with quite a bit of damage underwater, and of course not too much torpedo capability from Blackheart. This shield would be a perfect target. Yep, good work from Blackheart taking out the shield. Doesn't look like any destroyer died. They took a bit of health damage, but they still have all their firepower. They'll stay out of range. Let the subs and the frigates take the hits, while they want to focus in probably on these two destroyers, which are not really firing their main cannons, which is what the EF destroyers are best at. They're just using their really weak torpedoes, so they're not much better than a Tech 1 sub, except for their health in terms of battles against other Tech 1 subs. We got to see what Zock is seeing here. He's got visual because of the frigates. As Blackheart's underwater with the submarine. Yeah, this is a very good weapon. Blackheart is very much owning the seas underwater. He's got a stealthed ACU with the torpedo launcher. So I think torpedo boats are a must here from Zock, but torpedo boats very weak against Cybern destroyers. So what we're seeing here is a big advantage that Cybern have over UEF at this stage of the game, but a cruiser. So Zock might choose to turtle up, get shields and cruisers, and try to out-tech a Blackheart, but Blackheart is slightly ahead. And another thing that Blackheart's going to have is a huge reclamation field. A drop coming in from Zock. He will attempt to grab at least some of this mass, Couple Riptides move in to cause trouble. They're going to take out the TMD. At least they will attempt to. But looks like they will be bombarded by destroyers from long range. And this is where a failed attack is so critical. Seeing Tech 2 mask extractors all over the place for Blackheart. Although Zock is quite even. Does he have... is it still just Tech 2s, but a lot of torpedo bombers? Zock might just say, if you want to put your ACU out there in the middle, we'll have a naval battle, you'll take a bit of damage, and then I'll finish you with torpedoes. It's definitely a risky move when a cyber commander does it. He does have stealth, so you will need a direct visual, which you can definitely get with all these destroyers. I think Blackheart is a little too far away from home here. I've always called him a very defensive player, but this is a very crazy thing to do. And now together these are 5 destroyers, so it looks like Zock could actually save all of his destroyers even though they're low health. Plus a shield here, submarines, destroyers, not a lot of frigates anymore. It looks like they all died. Blackheart has a couple destroyers shooting at range. Cruiser long distance. Blackheart making sonar. He does have Tech 2 engineering on his ACU. And yeah, this is definitely sniping potential here. About 400 damage on a pass from a Tech 2 torpedo bomber. 400, 500, something along those lines. I think Blackheart needs to think about going home. He's feeling very safe right now. More Tech 2 power. Blackheart still ahead. He is ahead on both mass and power. Still very vulnerable for drops. So this battle kind of continues with Cybern shooting and UEF not taking damage because of their shield. And yeah, now we have the feared UEF Cybern combo on the water. Shields plus range. So that's Blackheart making a Zock pay for that drop. See here, it's a shield producing factory. Other good units, of course, from EEF could be some Perseus later on. Percy drops on this map, very good. Maybe even satellites, depending on how long this game goes. Now it appears the shields, there's 2 shields here, they've both gone down. As Zock continues to dodge. He's actually dodging quite a few shots. Blackheart continues to use his ACU in the field. Multiple shields and stealth for Blackheart. Torpedo bombers for Zock. Yeah, this is a lot of firepower. I think in one pass they might be in a position to kill this ACU. Unless, of course, Blackheart gets under his shields. More scouts from Zock. More shields. These destroyers continue to stay out of range. Submarines moving in. A lot of Air Force. This might be the moment where Zock, he's just throwing in a lot of units. He's moving in with his destroyers, and now he does have the visual on Blackheart's ACU, so of course stealth no longer works. The shields do though. The shields go down as Blackheart has just thrown all of his navy, which has disappeared. And here come the torpedo bombers. Going directly after Blackheart. There are enough bombers here. There are no cruisers. And there goes the stealth. But more. Another pass. Will it be enough? And here more torpedoes. Shield comes back. And I think that was just enough. Blackheart goes down. There's only one torpedo. Blackheart calls it the most snipey, most lucky snipe ever. Sheet bolt return 1 second too late. So extremely close. Very dangerous from Blackheart, and it's probably the only chance for Zock, because this combo navy was absolutely dominating If that snipe did not work, Blackheart would have definitely won. Actually, it is a good move here from Zock if he would have hit the build capacity with those riptides, but most likely would not have been enough. Not sure if anybody actually got a Tech 3 mass extractor in this one, but definitely an advantage for Blackheart in terms of eco plus all this reclaim. So let's actually check out the stats here at the end. So in terms of mass, it does look like, yeah, there's a lot of reclaim going on here about minute 6. You see two big chunks of reclaim. Blackheart staying ahead for the most part, and looks like this was after a naval battle. He really pushed ahead. In terms of energy, Blackheart, yeah, was ahead most of the game and was just getting worse. Total kills, a lot of kills there at the end for Blackheart, killing all the Air Force, but the most important kill at the end for Zock. And yeah, see, in terms of basically all the stats, Blackheart was ahead. Hello and welcome to game 3 between Blackheart and Zock. This one's on 4-leaf clover, and Zock getting Cybern, Blackheart getting Aeon. This map, very frustrating. You can really lose it early on if you... It's not necessarily that you don't get the middle mass here. These 7 chunks of mass, the rest are really quite insignificant. But if you don't deny the other player from getting it, if you let him just get an early engineer and get it, then we'll see. Yeah, and Blackheart saying that he needs to start winning from good positions. Yeah, we'll see. Definitely in the last one, it was just dangerous play from Blackheart and Zock taking advantage. So far, just engineers. It's Hydra in an annoying position between the mass in the middle and or actually in the opposite direction, so you can't get the Hydra and then go to the mass. You really got to split your build capacity. And you want to send the ACU to the middle quite early. It looks like Blackheart is going to run to the middle fairly quickly. There is an engineer. First engineer, looks like from Zock, is going to grab as much mass as it can. As we don't see any engineers going to the middle for Blackheart, who's got 2 engineers on the Hydra. There's quite a bit of mass right there that you want to send an early Engie to, especially if you don't get any middle mass. You must get mass somewhere because there's so much mass all over the place. If you do a build order that doesn't utilize early mass, reclaim mass, you're probably going to be at a big disadvantage. And looks like an aggressive hunter from Zock. Typical thing to do is send your light assault forces through the middle, cover the engineer, and then go and attack through this little pocket. We do see an Aurora here on patrol duty from Blackheart, which shouldn't have any issues. Is Blackheart not in a hurry to get to the middle, grabbing a couple of mass extractors first? This should allow this NG a little more time to grab mass. Zock still back at base. He's going to have a lot of power, I think. Total of 6 pigeons. Only 1 engineer on Hydra. This is interesting, and he does have an NG on reclaim. So Zock has got significant reclaim on the map. He's got this NG, he's going to get a whole bunch. He's got the NG that got a whole bunch in the middle. Still these 3 left for Blackheart's ACU. As, yeah, looks like that hunter easily defended. And here come the air. Blackheart with this customary early scout as that NG. Finishes all of its reclaim, then gets killed. Zock sitting 1100 reclaim, Blackheart only 450. And in terms of power, Zock also slightly ahead. The ACU for Zock now on his way to the middle, stops to put a factory down. As Blackheart has really taken over the middle, he's got engineer Going to the bottom has a good chance to grab this side. Also, a couple Auroras are going to block any advance, as Blackheart's ACU is going to leave the middle and will try to cover the other entrance. So Blackheart going for map control, as he's got total vision with the scout interceptors. So 2 versus 2 interceptors here. It could be an interesting battle. Zock chooses not to have it, he'll just chase down the scout. Both players checking out what the other is doing. Land spam coming up. It's both players nearly identical on power. And advantage for Blackheart. He's got all these mask ejectors in the middle, which are giving him mass. And oh, I did not notice this. Zock does like to do this. A very quick tech up. So he's got a Tech 2 mask extractor, as we're seeing an air battle, and there looks like some micro problems here from Blackheart. Sorry, from yeah, Blackheart just running away. As we're seeing Auroras versus Manti, with the Manti getting really close to the Auroras. And yeah, that was pretty dominant. I think this engineer was in a very good position. Nice looking scout. Zock knows about it. These Manti will chase it down. On the other side, the air fight continues, and this is a hero. Interceptors winning 2 versus 1. Defensive point defense from Blackheart. Try to stop any sneaky units, as his ACU will move back into the middle. That is beginning to look that Blackheart will take the top, with the bottom still being contested. But the loss of his engineer is big. And Zock does look like he might have numbers here with Manti. In terms of power, now Blackheart is up by 100. This could be significant as the air battle continues. It's very close. Blackheart retreats with AC all the way back to base. We're beginning to see some walls from both players. Most vulnerable position here, as it looks like Zock will get his ACU in a good position to cover the entrance to the expansion. We are seeing some already from Zock, some Medusas. We'll start go to work on that point defense to open up the way to grab the top expansion. A response from Blackheart, some Auroras, and a point defense started for Zock, as Blackheart will begin an upgrade on the ACU. It's going to be a gun. Very common thing to do. Gun very powerful early on, especially in an assault up the middle. But Zock, he's got Tech 2. Zock, looking at his base, he's got already 2 Tech 2 mask extractors. And Tech 2 engineering, he's got Rhinos coming out. So in terms of map control, Zock very much even. He's got 2 Tech 2 mask extractors. No Tech 2 mask extractors yet for Blackheart. So in terms of mass production, Zock was way ahead. But Blackheart now, does he have both guns? That's the question. We're going to find out soon. He's got at least one. He's pushing ahead. Assuming he's got a power storage. He does not. He at least has the range. As the Rhino now going to work. Point defense has gone down. Aurora staying at range. Rhino with 6 kills. Absolutely brutal as Blackheart now moves in. Zock retreats with his ACU. Point defense is going up. We are also seeing some hoplites. Blackheart will keep his Auroras behind the ACU, the leading force. Looks like it's just range. No fire upgrade for Blackheart. Blackheart felt like he needed to move in as soon as possible. So standard damage is just kiting possibility. A very timely point defense. An overcharge from Blackheart. Zock in full retreat mode. He does a point defense here that will slow Blackheart down. Also some defensive units and the expansion. Expansion for Blackheart, he's just beginning to take it. Zock still way ahead in terms of economy, but Zock has completely given up the middle. Retreated back. He's got a Tech 2 engineer, he'll try to get a defensive position with these Tech 2 engineers, and this is where it's a very difficult question. Where do you draw the line? You don't want to draw it too far back, but if you draw it too far forward, you're going to lose it, which might be the case here. And then you're also going to lose your Tech 2 engineers. So purely Tech 1 assault from Blackheart, in a long stream of units. He has not bothered to upgrade anything. He's just going straight through the middle. Will Blackheart have enough to stop this? And Zock, will Zock have enough? And Zock now retreats. He does not have those Tech 2 engineers anymore. And Zock has exposed this wall, which might just go down, which will expose the side of Zock's base. A drop from Zock. Some Tech 2 units, some emergency Tech 2 units. Try to keep this expansion. We're also seeing quite a bit of flak from Blackheart, perhaps anticipating something like a snipe. No more Tech 2 engineers, but a successful Tech 2 drop. These are nice. These 2 rhinos will stop this assault. Scout sneaks in for Blackheart. Blackheart retreats. So he decides not to keep on pushing. He's just taking the middle. He should be in a good position to grab the side if he kills that point defense. And he should break through this. He has broken through the wall. But some rhinos for Zock are going to go around the outside, and it now appears that Blackheart is caught up on mass production. There is 8 mass extractors in the middle. Blackheart has 6 of them, and he's denied the other 2, so that has caught him up. But Zock somehow power stalling like crazy. What is he getting? He's getting the gun, and he's putting a lot of build capacity on it, and he's absolutely killing his economy, and he has no radar. And this is where having that power advantage, it's actually quite big. If Zock could have had the power production of Blackheart right now, he would probably already be done with this upgrade, but instead he's absolutely massacring his economy. I'm not even sure if that's necessary. That gun is that critical. Looks like Blackheart has stopped, but Zock here voluntarily killed himself. If instead he would have got more power first, as now the expansion of Zock is under real pressure. Artillery moving in will deny the Tech 1 point defenses, and this is really not something that you can handle with 2 rhinos. Zock needs good ideas. He does have the gun, and he's got his superior Tech 2 force. He'll try to push Blackheart out of the middle, and this is going to have to be something that can offset this massive loss. Tech 2 factory, very advanced Tech 2 HQ here, might be vulnerable, but Blackheart right away is going to throw down TMD, as Zock is going to get some of the first kills with his ACU. Blackheart will retreat. This is all just Auroras, which will be absolutely paper against the Cybern gun and all this Tech 2. Zock will stop to build a couple mass extractors with his very expensive engineer. Blackheart making a mistake, will pull back. Think yeah, this is not worth it to build those 2 to stop this progress. Blackheart was given the time to regroup. He now has both guns. Some overcharges, ACUs being kept on the front lines. Also Obsidians moving in, so some early Tech 2 land. Tech 2, no, this is just a radar. We are seeing Tech 2 engineers from Blackheart moving into the middle. So Blackheart already moving out with his NGs. Once he grabs all this mass, he'll have such a big economy advantage. And if it turns into a Tech 2 point defense build competition in the middle, he will be able to use Zico to win that. 14 kills for Zock, Blackheart at 11. Tech 2 versus Tech 1. Zock 19 kills. It's going to be critical to get these overcharges for Blackheart. But it looks like numbers are really working out there for Blackheart. And this is great. All these engineers, as soon as these units die, Blackheart is going to get him. He's getting so much reclaim right now. He's got way too much mass. 7,500 reclaim total. Zock only half of that, even less. And Zock has lost that battle, and I think he just lost the war as well. This is just going to be a huge advantage. Map control advantage, reclaim advantage. And no advantage for Zock. He does have a couple of gestures here. Perhaps a desperation snipe. He needs to do it as soon as possible if there's any hope of doing it. I would anticipate some flak here. There's also a nice looking Air Force that should be able to do the job for Blackheart. Is just under 10,000 health. Zock continues to lose health on his ACU, 45 kills. Not Interceptor's only 2 gestures, so that's not really even a snipe attempt. And it looks like Blackheart will pull one unit, one game back. Zock 54 kills. And some point defenses for Blackheart. Is looking for a position to retreat to. It's kind of interesting. More rhinos. And actually, that was a nice overcharge from Blackheart. Still leading his troops here. Might be a bit dangerous if actually Zock made a whole bunch of gestures. Although Blackheart did scout, he would have seen it. I think here it could have been a chance to maybe even grab a draw. Still haven't seen any Tech 2 flak. As Blackheart will encroach with his air. Zock continues to retreat. We might see some roaches from Zock if you could hide him behind the hill. And Blackheart makes a mistake of throwing his ACU into battle. Nice overcharge from Zock. Very nice vet. Blackheart should not do what he did last game and just retreat with his ACU, finish it off with his regular units. This game is 100% won for him unless he does something stupid. So he will retreat. As we're seeing Tech 2 gunships. So Zock decided not to use gestures. He's going to go with Tech 2. He's going to go with style. As these engineers from Blackheart, no shame, just going up. He's going to grab all the mass that he can. A lot of Tech 1 anti-air being built. Blackheart, total of 14,000 reclaim. Only 4,000 for Zock. He got about 7,000 from this battle. Zock, if he gets a couple more overcharges, could be in a very good looking ACU. 69 total kills. Blackheart, full health, trying to run back, but his units are not letting him, so looks like he will finish this game on the front lines. As we're seeing a number of Tech 2 gunships. Let's see if those are going to be put to use. Zock needs to overcharge these obsidians as the gunships are moving in. A lot of Tech 1 flak, still no Tech 2 flak. Blackheart is going to retreat. And an overcharge here is necessary from Zock. These units are going to begin to get deep into Zock's base. And something that I've seen many times, a lot of players go on an attack with their ACU, all their units disappear, and finally, suddenly they find themselves all alone in enemy base. Nice overcharge from Zock. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case here. Well, these gunships did a good job against the Auroras. 108 kills for Zock. Nice vet, and actually both ACUs very similar health after that vet. But Zock has no units left. And Zock has paused everything. And basically Zock has nothing left except a couple gunships. And now finally a Tech 2 flak from Blackheart, and that should kill any hopes for Zock to get a draw if he had any hopes. 123 kills, Blackheart 41. And after a really long finish here, it looks like Zock will finally go down after 18 minutes. Well, welcome to game 4 in the series between Zock and Blackheart. We're back on Haven Reef. This is the map for game 1. Blackheart does not like this map. The first game it didn't do so well, but I think he was still very much in the game when he decided to thrust his ACU in a transport at a cloud of interceptors. Hopefully he doesn't do that again. Once again, we have Zock here coming from the bottom. The thing I want to notice is the reclaim difference, if that's going to be any different. And of course, completely different faction, Cybern on Cybern, and the first bomber from Blackheart really changing it up. Let's see how that works out for him. And he is going first bomber without going PGen first. Yeah. So I would have probably not. Yeah, so you can see what happened. Not casted this game if it wasn't part of this series. Okay, yeah. So unfortunate. In the first game on this map, Blackheart at the very end screwed up, and in the fourth game on this map he screwed up at the very beginning. Yeah, he completely failed the build, and that's one of the things about this game, is it's quite brutal on the build orders. There's a lot of different possibilities, but you can really screw yourself up, so not very forgiving. So it's really a trade-off. Oh, that was a great bomb from Blackheart. I think there he may have just evened it out. He completely wiped out all that reclaim, so Zock is going to have to change things up. Let's see if that works out. And yeah, Zock saying it's not really a bad build order. Oh, if I would have picked off that engineer, it would have been great. We should see some flak coming out. And if actually, yeah, this bomber needs to get out, not get killed by flak, kill another engineer. Zock will begin to start dodging. Yeah, I think that bomber micro could have been better. It could have killed 2 more engineers, and I think this game would be absolutely even. So Zock forced into making a whole bunch of flak. This might be the last pass for this bomber. He will go after the NG. The NG does not dodge, but the flak takes care of the problem. Blackheart going, he was going second land. Let's see, he's still in a good position to grab that outside island. He did deny a lot of reclaim, so he should have a reclaim advantage. He's nearly caught up on power. Zock does have the advantage of build capacity. He has 2 factories. Blackheart's single factory, which is really big disadvantage. And now we're going to see air from Zock. He will try to capture air control, which he should be able to do. Zock pulling away with his eco. And now a navy started by Zock. Yeah, if Zock can get air control, naval control, maybe even land control, but just being slightly ahead of Blackheart in each category, then it'll be very difficult for Blackheart. And when you screw up like this, like Blackheart did, it's very important to continue playing and let the other players screw up as well. Looks like that engineer didn't do what it should have. Could have probably reclaimed that hunter. And what Zock's got to do is he's got to realize he's got that advantage. Continue playing safe, deny expansions, and not make any mistakes. So far, Zock really no expansion to the top. He has scouted that engineer, but a bomber from Zock being very aggressive. Oh, he killed all that reclaim that Blackheart didn't pick up, and that's a huge... Oh, Blackheart missing a huge opportunity. Zock, you can see, is 900 reclaim. Blackheart, that's a little less. Blackheart could have had about 1,000, at least 1,000 reclaim advantage if you would have picked all that up. This bomber actually survives. Successful mission, can take a rest, but will likely get killed by the Senti. Zock in another land factory, and here comes the transport. Zock building up a Tech 2 mask extractor. Successful bomb from Zock. So Zock dominating the air game. Very good looking bombers, deny an expansion and reclaim. Quite a few Manta in the middle for Blackheart. And maybe an early air battle. And this is where Blackheart usually has superior build orders, which allows him to have a superior early air. But in this case, he actually has inferior early air. Let's see how he handles the situation. This would be a very nice engineer to kill for Blackheart. Blackheart also starting in naval. And this drop, I don't think that's been scouted. Should be successful. So Zock is actually in a position to grab both sides, unless something can be done about that engineer. Blackheart realizing things are going real bad. He's not going to get a transport. Engineer and a bunch of Manta. This actually could be a good one, depending on it. And it looks like he's going to send it to the top. Another scouting run. Blackheart has actually overtaken Zock in terms of power production. He is behind in mass because of this Tech 2 mask extractor. Successful drop from Zock. Getting reclaim, also starting a factory. This is if this drop was directly on this position, I think he would be in a good position to deny all that. That'll be a very good move in evening things out. So far Zock just, I mean, he's getting so much reclaim. He's got way too much mass. Yeah, nothing really went bad for him so far. And successful drop. Blackheart needs to realize there's a factory being built. He needs to kill that engineer as soon as possible, because he sent these Manta in the wrong direction. He needs to recognize that he can, if he sends the Manta back, he might be able to kill that factory. He's also got a factory up top here, so he is making a play for both sides. He is a bit behind on the naval. Is Zock actually putting up a wall? Yeah, the Manta will be back, and they will deny the factory. So the top might be in Blackheart's favor. He's got a bomber there as well. Deny any engineers trying to climb that hill. And another drop coming in. So Blackheart choosing to go with drops. But they both have been a bit late and allowed Zock to get a lot of reclaim, which Zock has put into, not really sure what. He's behind on power. He's only got one Tech 2 mass extractor. He is getting some upgrades. He looks like going to get the gun on the ACE. So Zock planning to do an assault through the middle. He does have some subs, which are going to be very annoying. Blackheart trying to get a torpedo launcher up. Blackheart will be losing a lot of engineers to these submarines. More subs on the way, as Blackheart has now put himself in a position to grab map control, and he's got a lot of air. So things could be slipping away from Zock here. I'm still a bit confused though where he's put all that mass. I think he has made quite a few subs. That's one place, but he has so much reclaim that, yeah, he still has a lot in the bank. This bomber on the loose should probably be shut down. And here Blackheart's still struggling to get a torpedo launcher up. Did get a sub out, and perhaps a counter drop from Zock. Although there's already so many units here, it might not be successful, especially with all those inties. So this could be interesting. Zock now, this is really what he invested in. He's going to have the gun. Let's see, did Blackheart... No, Blackheart hasn't even seen the wall. Blackheart hasn't scouted the main base in a long time. Successful drop from Zock. Instead of dropping expansion, he went after the main base. It's going to be successful. Blackheart's still way ahead in eco. So this investment here needs to pay off soon before it becomes obsolete. And Zock has a rather massive force which has not been scouted. Blackheart needs to scout as soon as possible, recognize there's a force coming his way, and build up defense. But that was a very good looking drop from Zock to occupy Blackheart's mine. So he'll be busy putting out this fire while Zock moves up, and looks like he's just moving with his ACU. He's now going to move his forces. These are very quick cyber units, so he can catch up to ACU fairly rapidly, and he will do so now. So you can see Blackheart way ahead, but he has no idea that there's a big pain train coming his way. Also a very important engineer here. And looks like Blackheart readying a drop. He's going to do a very similar drop here, but he's not paying attention to the most important thing. He is going to try to get a wall going, which will be absolutely futile. Let's see if Blackheart... Yeah, he's seen some units walking by, and now he's going to see the ACU. Things must be done immediately here if there's any hope for Blackheart to hold on to this base. Not a lot of radar blips here. The impending doom. The harbingers. But no, these are just manti. Point defense is going up. That will buy Blackheart some time. I think all this power is gone, so more power needs to be built elsewhere if it's needed. Also, factories need to build in these positions, and a tech to gunship. So Zock, as he's doing a main frontal assault here, has tech to gunships going to work on the top expansion. Zock will use his range advantage to kill off the Tech 1 point defenses, but that will take some time. He's also brought some flak and a lot of Medusas, so once he gets in here, he will kill everything very quickly. As Blackheart is also getting the gun. Blackheart rapidly losing power, I imagine. Yeah, if he's power stalling hard, he's wasting mass. And that's because all this power was so undefended, and Zock just went ahead and took it. As Zock rolls past the Tech 1 point defenses. And one thing that Zock has stopped doing after that initial assault with the subs, he completely stopped his navy. And that's actually where Blackheart has focused quite a bit of his eco, instead of doing a land defense. So Zock, he wasn't a very good advantage this entire game, but he did a very nice move. This drop to prevent scouting, and then just a easy frontal assault to take out the base. That being said, though, Blackheart is, well, if it wasn't for these gunships, Blackheart would still be in a decent position, but because those gunships wiped out so much, Blackheart is now pretty much screwed. See, units bunched up here. A lot of firepower localized. Zock 24 kills total. We're going to work on a Tech 2 mass extractor. Blackheart has no power control case. So no luck for Blackheart on this map. Zock takes 3 games out of 4. We've got a couple more to go. Hello and welcome to game 5. Zock so far has won 3 out of 4 games. And Blackheart this time getting Seraphim, and perhaps a map that yeah, they're both German, so they said something. Erstmal, who knows what that means? Erst something about first. But Seraphim versus EF on this map should be a big ACU battle. And this map, a lot of very dangerous reclaim, so chunks of mass you do not want to neglect, but these civs do have a Tech 1 point defense, which means you gotta be very careful with your engineers. 3 Tech 1 point defenses, but so much mass that you really can't ignore it, although quite a few people do. Also very spread out mass extractors, a lot of hydros that you also can't neglect. So we'll see how that works out. A lot of plans for this first engineer, but looks like a big land spam. Also land for Zock. Neither player really thinking that air would be a good move. There is flak in the middle, so a row move means you lose your early bomber. And Zock is the first one to take his ACU to the middle. He will grab quite a better reclaim, and with these hydros, utilizing this reclaim is quite easy. Looks like Zock will grab both. He's got 3 engineers here. Actually, if a bomber came right now and killed all those, maybe a bit of a mistake from Zock, but perhaps he was anticipating no bomber from Blackheart, and he will not get a bomber. Nobody going to this hydro yet. Instead, Blackheart electing to take his engineer to go on a max capturing spree. He's also got a nice escort, anticipating a raid from a mech marine, but no raid is coming from Zock, and Zock is actually not expanding. You can see Blackheart's significant advantage in terms of mass production, but Zock will supplement it all with all the reclaim that he's about to get. He's actually gonna walk in quite deep here, take a lot of shots straight to the face, and basically say, I don't care. See how much you got. Got nearly 1,000 reclaim. Blackheart 64. That's from a couple of trees. So that's a significant advantage for Zock, who's also sitting on both hydros, which means he's up by 100 power now. He is at a disadvantage in terms of map control, but it's still very early. He does have an expansion going to the bottom. Now, there's still a lot of mass in the middle, so that early reclaim that Zock got might not mean much if Blackheart can grab some of the reclaim. Blackheart has grabbed this mass extractor and has ACU. And he's just patrolling. As Blackheart will go on assault through the top. Raider going up will be a bit late, and engineer will die. The expansion to the top is prevented, as Blackheart will grab the top, and the raid will continue. The ACU for Zock responds. So now Blackheart knows where the ACU is, and on the bottom it does look like numbers, similar numbers, but maybe a bit more for Blackheart. Yeah, Blackheart does have the numbers. And in terms of mass income, Blackheart is significantly ahead. Although power is still low, but power not that important if all you're making land. It is important when you're upgrading. Once Blackheart gets this hydro, he's actually a bit confused. I think there was some tree reclamation there. Zock regroups his units. More reinforcements for Blackheart. So the battle for the bottom here will be very critical. Both players sending engineers into these positions. Engineer for Zock playing a dangerous game. Actually, this point defense here killed. Looks like a couple Medusas went to work, or sorry, Lobos. I mean, no offense. Zock taking out a couple point defenses. He will now be able to go in, but going in a little too far. As Blackheart moves in directly at Zock's base, perhaps realizing Zock's ACU is out of position, but Zock's ACU is going to come in, go against Blackheart's forces, but a very nice looking point defense from Blackheart. He's got he's got a very good option for retreat, as Zock appears to have won the bottom. That will go a long way in getting him back in terms of map control. But this push from Blackheart, 13 kills, 11 kills for Zock, a lot of reclamation left. And now Zock will continue to push. He will actually kill quite a few of these mass extractors. Blackheart's still significantly ahead. He is sitting on 7 factories We've seen 7 factories, 8 going up for Zock. Blackheart will wander in, probably grab a little more reclaim. He's also a bit ahead now in terms of power. We'll see if either player decides to make air, and eventually power will mean that you can get a gun upgrade or a Tech 2 on the ACU and Tech 2 point defense group, especially for EEF, very potent on this map. With Seraphim, some of these hills can be a problem, so it becomes more critical of where you put that. As an engineer for Zock continues to try to steal some of this middle mass, but civilians still holding strong. 2 of the Tech 1 point defenses dead, 1 still left over. Interesting that Blackheart has very much ignored. Zock 12 kills, Blackheart 15. And the force for Blackheart here looking quite menacing, as looks like a Lobo did its thing. Taking out the point defense, a couple strikers need to be microed, but do deny the top as the battle for the bottom continues. Zock does have a point defense that he can choose to use, but he needs to get a factory down here. Whoever gets a factory on the bottom will be in very good shape. Civilians are all dead, and Blackheart seems to be the one that's going to get the bulk of the reclaim. Still a whole bunch of Tech 3 wrecks. I think Blackheart took his time getting to the middle, but when he did, he went there with the ACU, and now Blackheart will pull away in the reclaim game. He's got more mass than he can use. Zock is ahead on reclaim at this point, but major power problems. Looks like Zock has neglected power production during this entire time. He is going Tech 2 land. He's getting a Tech 2 engineer. And actually Zock here facing off against the superior force. Zock 16 kills. Blackheart, after sucking up all the mass, will take his ACU together with this massive Tech 1 force and go directly at Zock's base. Zock does have a Tech 1 point defense. His ACU, he's got a Tech 2 factory trying to produce pillars, also attempt to make a Tech 2 point defense. Tech 1 point defense is going up, but Zock might be here total mass stall. Bulk of his forces is on the bottom where they did get a victory, but here on the main line, if Blackheart puts in a couple overcharges, and you can see these units have been under construction for a very long time, still not being constructed, still not being finished, and a total economic disaster for Zock. Blackheart attacked at a perfect time, and really instead of that Tech 2, if Zock would have just put up like 3-4 Tech 1 point defenses, I think he could have won this battle. Perfect time to attack for Blackheart. Zock overextending and then killing his economy, and also losing the middle. So all this reclaim is turned into a lot of Tech 1. Another thing that Zock did, had much less power at the end. So hopefully people enjoyed this game 5. So 3 wins to Zock, 2 to Blackheart. Let's see one more. Hello and welcome to game 6 between Blackheart and Zock. And they've been both playing random faction. I think in this one Blackheart got a bit lucky getting Aeon versus Cybern, but of course Cybern's still very strong. Classic map, Canis River. Both players have played this many times, and both are quite brutal here. Although I think this will be a very big challenge for Zock. Second land from Blackheart. This Hydra. No, Blackheart loves his Hydros. See how quickly he gets it. After 2 factories, he's going to go for it. Very standard build with the ACU so far. 3 mask tractors, 5 P-gens. Zock getting every single mask tractor with his ACU. And these early engineers. Looks like he's going to go after the Hydra. Let's see what kind of rating we get from these players. First 2. Yep, then an Aurora from Blackheart. 2 engineers and Aurora. 3 engineers from Zock. So here, this engineer could be in a bit of trouble if Blackheart went first. First hunter or first flare. Here comes a scout. This Aurora looks like it's just going to cover this position. It's more of a defensive unit. Quite a bit of reclaim here as well as expansion down the left side. On the top we do, one thing I'm seeing from these players, they're doing quite a bit of reclaim along the way. And I can't really say which build order is better based on what we see in the stats. Very similar. Blackheart just slightly ahead. Blackheart also sending in undefended units, so completely undefended to the right side. Hunter and Mantis here have been absolutely devastating, killing those 2 engineers, but nothing there. This Aurora makes it all the way to the Hydra. We'll find nothing. Scout will go into the base while the Aurora try to intercept. And now we see the defensive Aurora up on top. See how far the Scout gets. And get all the way to Zock's ACU. Basically to the starting position. Yep. Looks like Zock didn't even shoot it. As we have the Aurora here killing off an engineer. Very good Aurora from Blackheart, denying the Hydra. As we see 2 versus 1, the Manti will kill the Aurora. That means this engineer here is unprotected. Unless it can finish that point defense, which it shouldn't be able to. And this point defense from Zock. So far very similar play, except that Zock's Hydra had been denied. Although now up on top, problems for Blackheart. Nice looking scout. As long as the Manti stay together, don't get killed by the range, this should be good. But I think now Blackheart will have numbers. Hydra for Zock still not online. Looks like he has been forced to make a couple more pigeons. He has an air factory going for his 4th land. We've already seen a 5th land and 6th coming up for Blackheart. He should have an advantage in terms of land units. So numbers with Auroras against Manti will be very difficult for Zock. Yeah, denying that Hydra really minimized Zock's options in terms of going massive air or quick tech 2. As we're seeing a battle up on top. His Manti are without a scout. Will run into a superior force. And the ACU for Zock. I think we'll try to chase a Blackheart. We'll rendezvous with a group of Auroras. And Blackheart is in a position to grab map control. Has superior forces on the left because he has more factories. This group of Manti need to go way in the corner. Well, instead they're going to kill a mass extractor, so I would have made the wrong decision. Looks like Blackheart is going to leave those. Instead we'll continue to push. Zock does have this point defense, so this is relatively safe. This Hydra's been taking forever. But let's actually check out the numbers on the Auroras. There's 32 Auroras for Blackheart. Zock is sitting on 15 Manti. So 2-to-1 ratio of Tech 1 tanks. And these Tech 1 tanks in large numbers, Tech 1 superior in even numbers. Zock not in a very good position. In terms of economy, Zock is ahead in terms of power, which means, yep, we're going to see bombers. These bombers might even things out very quickly for Zock. Zock continues to push. See the reclamation, Blackheart 730,000 for Zock. Zock got just a little more. Now Blackheart pushing all of his forces to his ACU. Zock could be in trouble. Zock is also pushing a lot of his forces back. These bombers need to do damage, otherwise that was a nice dodge from Blackheart. Great micro. Zock losing health. These Auroras here could be in a bit of a sandwich, or they could be very potent. Continue to do a good job dodging, and they're doing a very nice job against the Manta using their range. Eventually it catches up to the Aurora always. Total air domination by Zock. Blackheart 2 kills. Zock 4 retreats to quite a bit of dead units here you can reclaim. On the other side we see Blackheart capturing mass extractors. Map control in Blackheart's favor, who's dancing on water here, but is taking quite a few bombs against his Auroras. And we are now seeing quite a bit of flak. A lot of tech on flak for Blackheart. Another excellent bomb, 11 kill bomber there. And on land we're going to see a counterattack attempted by Zock. He might be able to do it. Puts a couple forces to take care of the mass extractors. Pulls quite a few back to his ACU, as Blackheart could be playing a dangerous game. Takes out the radar, and that could be bad. Now there's another good looking radar for Zock, but Zock can't really see too far ahead, and that's a lot of Auroras. So Blackheart, just like in his game on 4-leaf Clover, playing it very simple, maximizing his land production. Going to try to overwhelm Zock, and so far he's winning, having this fairly big advantage of health on the ACU. Is very significant on these small maps. It means that you can push further ahead, grab more map control, grab all this reclaim, and eventually your economy will win it for you. Zock forced to retreat. And yeah, this Auroras are very short path. That was an excellent bomb, although quite a bit of flak. And I think Zock here, yeah, he's lost a lot of health. Perhaps he retreated to the wrong position. I think retreating back to his base, he did go Tech 2, but that will not be in time. Zock all alone against superior force. 3 wins each after 6 games. So this will be the last game in the series. Hopefully these two players play quite a bit more in the future. Hopefully people enjoy this one.